Hey Alpha fam, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Commission. Today I'm actually making a double episode because I did want to just briefly, probably going to keep this under 5 minutes, wanted to go over the data that will be released tomorrow, which I forgot to mention 2 episodes ago when I was giving you a schedule for June. I forgot to mention that some information would be coming out in May, which would be acting as kind of the staging information, the basis for how the Fed would probably be orienting its outlook in June, and that is, of course, the PCE data. So the PCE data is a little bit different than the CPI data. PCE is basically the personal consumption expenditures price index. Okay, and so this one basically it just measures inflation in a different way than the CPI, which is the consumer price index. The PCE actually has kind of a wider swath of how it measures the economy. And then the CPI can sometimes overstate certain inflation points. And while all of this is highly politicized and there's a large debate about how these things should be measured, just understand that there are two major key um, you know uh, measures of this, which is the PCE and the CPI, and that the Fed does tend to prefer the PCE, although the CPI will be released on June 10th. And so it's going to be fresh in the mind of the Fed when they make their decision on the 14th and 15th as to whether or not to raise interest rates, which could and will suppress the economy as well as the stock market and definitely crypto, depending on how they make their decision. And so the CPI will be critical, being fresh on their mind, and it will probably lean on them if it's heavily bearish. However, the PCE data will be what they're primarily looking for to see what was the change compared to last month and understand if they're on the right track or not. So as we look at the PCE data tomorrow, just to be aware that if there is any particular bad news, that the markets could suddenly turn sour, but also be open-minded to the possibility of some positive news, which is that maybe the Fed's policies are starting to work. And so if the PCE data is positive, then we might be able to see that bounce that I was talking about. These sets of data are put together by different agencies. The PCE data is put together by the Bureau of Economic Analysis. And the CPI data, I believe that is put out by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, pretty sure. And so these different agencies are responsible for different sets of information, and that's why there can be a difference. However, in general, they both track inflation, and just be aware that the Fed likes to base their decision upon the PCE. It does tend to give the smaller number, and of course, politically speaking, most governments prefer to show the least amount of inflation as possible, and so there is some politics in this, but it also does give a broader view of the economy, and so there is also some use to it. And so, without further ado, let's move on to the second point I wanted to remind you about, which is that the Bitcoin dominance is just skyrocketing. I mean, we really saw a breakout today in the last 24 hours. This thing just popped off. And if you can understand, BTC dominance, basically, if BTC dominance, Bitcoin dominance, which is its percentage share of the market, right, goes up while Bitcoin's price is going up, then altcoins tend to go down. Okay, and you can think about it this way: like Bitcoin is kind of like sucking all of the money out of the system, right? That's when its dominance goes up. Bitcoin is sucking the money out of the system, and so altcoins tend to go down. However, if Bitcoin's price is going down while it's sucking up the money in the in the system, then altcoins are actually going to be basically collapsing. They will be just dumping because of course the total amount of money is going down and Bitcoin is sucking it up. So that's why altcoins just dump when Bitcoin's dominance goes up. And as long as Bitcoin's price is going up, altcoins have a chance to hold steady, but they tend to go down a little bit, but they have a chance to hold steady. It's not favorable when Bitcoin's dominance goes up in this way. And of course, if Bitcoin is just going sideways the way that it's kind of been going for the last week or so, then altcoins kind of tend to put in these type of accumulation patterns. So you would just have to wait and see what alts are going to do. But in general, you can understand that when Bitcoin dominance goes up, it's not really good for altcoins. And of course, if Bitcoin dominance does tend to meet some type of resistance, then if a Bitcoin price is going up while Bitcoin dominance is getting rejected down, then altcoins actually have an altcoin season. They go up really rapidly because the dominance is going down. So basically, Bitcoin no longer dominates, but obviously money is coming into the system because Bitcoin's price is going up. So that means that altcoins must be increasing much faster than Bitcoin, and that's what you would call an alt season, right? And then, of course, if Bitcoin's price is going down while Bitcoin's dominance is going down, it tends to be not the best sign, and so maybe alts are going sideways, just because money is kind of leaving the system. Bitcoin tends to be kind of that canary in the coal mine. And so if Bitcoin dominance is going down, but Bitcoin's just going sideways, then alts might have the chance to be going up. And so, ideally for your altcoins, you would have wanted this to see this chart headed down, not going up. But you do see we kind of have this cup and handle formation, which could potentially, bring Bitcoin all the way up to 50% dominance, which would just kill alts, right? It would just murder alts if this market continues to lose money and lose investors over time. And so basically, this is Bitcoin's time to shine. There is some type of a resistance zone here in the upper 40s, and it could potentially be a nice little pullback zone. Um, if we have a small pullback, then that might be a good time to, you know, consider to get out of your more risky play alts that aren't necessarily in healthy positions. It's just up to you, okay? Just be aware that this chart is evolving to the upside in Bitcoin's favor, but against the favor of altcoins. And if Bitcoin dumps while this chart is postured this way, then altcoins are going to get slaughtered, okay? And if Bitcoin, pumps, then you know, uh, the altcoins are still probably going to take a hit. So there's almost no situation under which altcoins are going to be in a favorable position as long as Bitcoin dominance is rising as vertically as it is right now. Okay, and you can see some of these levels that Bitcoin dominance has been at in the past. This does look like a nice bottom here. It doesn't look like it's just going to fall down or anything in the immediate future. So, and you can see like this is almost a kind of upside down BART pattern where who knows how high this thing could actually get. Perhaps testing, mid 50s maybe, right? 50 to mid 50s. And we're just gonna have to see. Okay, guys, just wanted to throw those two things out there. Uh, don't be trading unless you understand what the PCE data is saying tomorrow. You want to understand those inflation numbers, and then also be aware that if you're getting into any altcoins right now, it's pretty much an extreme risk. Okay, so you are going to want to understand if Bitcoin is going to be making positive or negative moves, but either way, as long as this dominance is just rocket shipping up vertically, your altcoins are in a very tenuous and not great position. That's your alpha for the day. Stay safe and happy trading.